Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to do something, well, maybe a little bit vulnerable. We're going to mentally open up our closets, peek into our garages, and dig deep into those infamous junk drawers, overflowing with totally unidentifiable objects. You know the one, right? That drawer jammed full of old remotes, dried up super glue, maybe a few mystery keys. Our goal today is to uncover the deeply fascinating psychological reasons we keep things we absolutely never use. Because it turns out that pile of stuff in your hallway closet, it isn't just clutter. It's actually a brilliant, complex window right into the human mind. Okay, so let's dive into this highly relatable scenario. Picture yourself staring at an item right now. Maybe it's a hopelessly tangled charging cable for a phone you literally haven't owned since, 2012? Or maybe it's a perfectly intact, empty cardboard box that just looks like it could be useful. You look at it and think, hey, I might need this one day. You actively choose to hold on to it, even though it's been gathering dust for a full decade. Why do we do this? Seriously, why is the urge to keep the utterly useless so incredibly strong?
Now, if someone else were to walk into your house and look at that drawer, to them, it might just look like you're a borderline hoarder. It looks like a simple, stubborn inability to throw things away. But behavioral science and psychology reveal a completely different story. What looks like a disorganized mess to the untrained eye is actually your mind executing a deep, strategic psychological blueprint to manage anxiety. You aren't failing to clean, your brain is actively trying to protect you from the unpredictable nature of the real world. Section 1. Managing future uncertainty and protecting yourself from potential chaos.
The foundation of all this rests on a very simple fact about the human brain. Because life can feel wildly unpredictable and, frankly, pretty chaotic at times, your brain recognizes a fundamental truth grounded in behavioral science. Uncertainty creates stress. Let's think about why that is for a second. From an evolutionary standpoint, uncertainty literally meant danger. If our ancestors didn't know what was around the corner, they could be in serious peril. So your brain is hardwired to seek predictability just for pure survival. It absolutely hates not knowing what's going to happen. It craves a predictable environment, and when it doesn't have it, those biological alarm bells of stress start ringing loud and clear.
So how does your modern brain fight back against that deeply ingrained evolutionary stress? Well, it uses physical objects. When you save that seemingly useless random item, you are actively protecting yourself from a hypothetical future problem. By keeping the object, you're making sure you already have a tangible solution waiting in the wings. Think of it like an insurance policy, just written in the form of old electronics, spare buttons, and empty jam jars.
And this reveals the real magic trick your brain is pulling off here. Keeping things gives you back a sense of control. It takes the terrifying potential chaos of an unexpected situation, like a broken appliance, a sudden need to ship a package, or a ripped shirt, and turns it into something entirely manageable. You aren't a victim of circumstance if you already have the exact right tool to fix it. Even if you haven't needed that specific tool in 10 years, the psychological comfort of that control, it is incredibly potent.
Section 2. The what-if trap, or being trapped in future anxiety scenarios.
This is particularly relevant for those of us who naturally experience higher levels of daily anxiety. There's a distinct anxiety loop happening right beneath the surface. Here's how it works. Step 1. Your mind rehearses a future problem. It actually spends precious mental energy imagining a specific, detailed scenario where things go incredibly wrong. Step 2. You save the item as a physical fix for that imaginary problem. And finally, Step 3. You instantly feel more prepared and less stressed. You regain your sense of control. The item itself is almost irrelevant. It's the completion of this mental loop that provides the psychological relief. And that rush of relief chemically reinforces the habit, making you want to keep even more things the next time you feel anxious.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that your mind isn't just being messy or lazy when it comes to decluttering. For people caught in this trap, their brain constantly thinks, well, what if this happens? What if that goes wrong? It is continuously rehearsing future disasters to keep you safe and prepared. Your clutter is essentially the physical manifestation of your brain working overtime to guarantee your survival against every conceivable minor inconvenience.
Section 3. The security of scarcity, predicting loss and seeking stability.
Our source material gives us this incredibly powerful definition. The security of scarcity is a trauma-based response to lacking resources or emotional support early in life. This means if you experience severe instability in the past, whether that was a profound lack of physical necessities, deep financial struggles, or even a lack of consistent emotional support, your clutter takes on a completely different, much heavier meaning. It's a protective shield forged directly from past hardship.
Because you've lived through the stark reality of what it means to truly not have enough, your mind constantly starts predicting loss as a protective mechanism. It assumes that a devastating deficit is always just around the corner. By holding on to everything just in case, you are actively preparing for a moment where you might be left entirely without resources again. Your past has taught your brain an agonizing lesson: never be caught empty-handed. This hypervigilance is the brain's ultimate defense mechanism against experiencing that specific pain again.
This fundamentally shifts how your brain operates. Your brain prioritizes consistency over intensity. You aren't looking for the intense, fleeting thrill of a perfectly minimalist aesthetic home that you see all over social media. Instead, you deeply crave the basic safety, the baseline consistency, and the unwavering stability of knowing you are covered no matter what. You keep the things because the things represent a physical buffer between you and the deep vulnerability you experienced in your past.
Section 4. Reframing your behavior and seeing the hidden patterns in your space.
Now, the goal of understanding this psychological research isn't to make you feel bad about your junk drawer or guilty about your garage. Actually, quite the opposite. Once you understand these underlying psychological blueprints, whether it's managing evolutionary uncertainty, escaping that what-if anxiety loop, or healing from past scarcity, you can start looking at your own behavior with deep empathy instead of harsh judgment. So the next time you're cleaning and you open that drawer or look at that tangle of old cables, pause for a second. Look past the physical object sitting there. Ask yourself, now that you see this psychological pattern, what are you really holding on to? Are you holding on to a simple cord, or are you holding on to a need for control, a shield against anxiety, or a promise of safety? Understanding that difference really does change everything. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. What are you going to let go of today?